So I am Chantal Adams, the student counselor at the Western Cape campus. Let me just get my lighting right. Here we go. Chantal Adams, student counselor at the Western Cape campus out in Parow in Cape Town. For now, I'm the only staff member. So if any of you need support, I've included my email address in the chat function for student counseling at the Western Cape. If you need to book an individual session, if the topics of today stimulates concerns and you want to check on your time management schedules, or you want to develop a time management schedule, or you want to speak about your study needs, or how you're making notes or planning your studies, then you're welcome to schedule an individual session with me. And our sessions are either in person or online using the Teams app. Yes, there will be a recording. The event is being recorded as we speak. So we will edit the recording because some people joined very early. We'll edit the recording and then I'll email it to everyone. So I'm going to share the attendance register with you in a minute. So just make sure that you sign the attendance register, and that will ensure that you receive the recording of today's event. So your mics and cameras are muted just so that there is no issues when the presenters present. We're having two presentations today, the first on time management, and then we're going to move on, and it's presented by Ololade. She will present, introduce herself, and then we move on to the next presentation, and the presenter will present herself, and we're going to look at study skills. So I'd like to welcome all of our students here today, as well as our two presenters. Our presenters today are from our 2023 pool of student mentors. So Counselling and Career Development runs a student mentor volunteer program where we recruit final year students or postgrad students to mentor undergrad, first year, second year students. So you can use a chat function. At the end of the session, I will allow cameras and mics to go on, and then you can ask your questions if you have any. Otherwise, while the presenters are presenting, you feel free to use a chat function, and I will be monitoring and responding to that throughout the presentations. So first note is my contact details in the chat function when you scroll up, and then there is I'm going to include the attendance register and then also the evaluation form. So you can just give us feedback on how you found the information, whether you found it valuable, and also give us feedback in terms of which further topics you need or which areas of your studies or academic journey you need support with. It also helps us develop ideas around what kinds of workshops we can offer in future. And then our next group of student mentors for 2024 that we've already trained can select from those topics. So we just want to ensure that our services matches the needs of the students. So with that, I don't want to talk too much. Don't want to take up too much of the time. I'm going to hand over to our first presenter, who's going to be speaking about time management. Ololade, the floor is yours.
Thanks for joining. All right. My name is Ololade Beatrice Lanian, and I will be presenting time management today. And I will just briefly introduce why this topic is important. While I was doing my undergrad at Edovos, things was a bit easier because I needed to attend physical classes. But when I switched over to Unisa for my postgrad, I struggled because it's an online study and it's actually different from the physical classes. So that is why I believe as a Unisa student, time management is a very important skill that every Unisa student needs to work on or develop. Thank you, and that will be all. Okay, now we'll move to the topic of today, time management. Why is time management important? When you manage your time, if you don't manage your time, it will manage you. That is why time management is important. That's what this picture or image is talking about. Now we'll move to what is time management. Time management is the development of a process and tools that helps one to be productive. So as a Unisa student, if you want to be productive and efficient, you need to work on your time management skill. And you need to also set priorities that fit your needs, that fit your study style and also your lifestyle. In order for you to achieve your goals and in order for you to be successful. I'll move to the third slide. Okay, so the third slide is about the 5 steps. I will be sharing today with you the 5 steps for effective time management as a Unisa student. The first one will be assess how you spend your time. The second step, identify your obligations. Third step, schedule your activities. Fourth step, note important date and deadline. The fifth step, which is the last one, strategize your time management skill. Now, the first one, please hold for me. I think it's the network. It's slow. I cannot get to the, okay. Okay, so assess how you spend your time. All right, so the first one, we're going to go to how you spend your time. Firstly, sorry, it needs to, please hold on for me. Okay, firstly, you need to conduct a weekly inspection on how much time are you spending. You need to check your time. Are you spending your time according to your time schedule or your timetable? So that is also very, very important. You need to actually do a weekly inspection. And secondly, you also need to track your time. How are you spending your time? First, you need to do after doing a weekly survey, you need to see how much time are you spending. Are you spending your time in an efficient way? And thirdly, you need to check your obligations. Identify your obligations. Sorry, it's a bit slow. Okay, yeah, you need to identify your obligations. So your obligations obviously would be firstly your academic, which is your classes or your online tutorial. You need to see if you're attending your online tutorial. You also need to check your vocational, for example, your work hours, your weekend or holiday job. You need to see if all those things need to be identified. Your personal, which is your family responsibilities, your religious commitment, all those things as well need to be identified. And as well as your health and fitness, should you need to visit the gym, should you need to exercise, all those as well needs to be checked. And the third step, which will be to schedule your activities. This is actually very, very important because as a student, you need to have a planner. You can either use your diary or your notebook to schedule your activities, or you can have a calendar. You can either have a calendar, a desktop calendar, or a wall calendar. Or you can also use your phone, your computer, or your iPad as well. And you need to put down all your necessities, your classes, all the time you need to work on your assignments, the time you need to study for your tests and exams. So all those things, they all need to be included on your study planner. Now, I've also included here a timetable. So a study timetable, a study planner, which is actually very easy. With this, you can plan how you start your day. Maybe you want to start your day from 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. From Monday to Sunday. You need to plan what you're going to be doing from 5 to 6 and 6 to 7. So if you have a very simple planner like this that is not complicated, it's easy for you to plan your day and to stick to all your plans of the day. And also an exam timetable. An exam planner is also very important. You can schedule your exam planner from when you need to start your revisions. You need Perhaps you need to start your revisions 2-3 weeks before the exams. All that should be included in your planner, and what you need to study while your exam has started as well. And remember to calm down. I know we get so anxious during exam period, but always remember to calm down. So that's what the image is all about. Then the fourth step, you need to note down important dates and deadline. Your obviously your Unisa course overview would include your assignments, deadline on your topic, test projects, and exam date. All those needs to be noted down. You need to put them down on paper in order for you not to forget. So it's very important to always write things down. Now we'll move to the fifth step, which is the last step. Okay, so the last step is to strategize your time management. Okay, how do you do this? You need to set up a distraction-free workstation at your home or at your hostel. You also need to make use of your planner, and I would advise you put your planner where, let's say, in front of your desk where you study, where you can easily see, or where you can always see your planner. So with that, you will always remember what you need to do at a certain time and at a certain date. And do not forget to reward yourself. This is also very important. Reward yourself after accomplishing every task. This is very important. And I will also quickly add this. There's a Chinese proverb that said, can you make time? Obviously, you cannot make time. An inch of gold cannot buy an inch of time. So that's our Chinese proverb, which tells us how important time is. So time is actually important than money, because you can always make money, but with time, once you lose your time, you cannot get it back. I will also be sharing with you effective time management skills that would assist you as a Unisa student. All right. So firstly, you need to prioritize your task. This is extremely very, very important. You need to place your task in an order of priority. You need to see which ones are important, so you need to place them first. And secondly, you need to divide tasks into smaller steps. So that would also assist you. Should you need to study for your exam, you can break them down into 10 units. Should you have 10 units per module, you can break those 10 units into each day, or 1 unit for 3 hours. So when you break them down like that, it's actually more easier for you than to say you want to study 2-3 units in a day. So breaking them down into smaller tasks or into smaller steps would actually also assist you. And make a to-do list. This is also very important. Every day you need to have a list of what you need to do, what you need to achieve, where you need to go, what topic you want to study, what module you want to work on, and things like that. So that is also an important step to always remember. And lastly, you need to monitor your progress. You need to go back and see if your plans, your timetable, are they working? Do you need to revisit them? Do you need to tweak them a little? Do you need to work on them? Do you need to adjust anything? So always you need to see, okay, this planner or this skill is actually working for me, or the way I've planned out my time for this week or for the semester is working. And if it doesn't work, then you need to go back and revisit those plans again and see what are you doing that is wrong, and how can you fix it. So I think that is also very important. And I've also included here how to break down your time. So we all know that we have 24 hours in a day, and in 24 hours we have 60 minutes, and in 60 minutes we do have 60 seconds. So in total we have 86,000 hours, and 86,400 seconds. So with that, having this at the back of your mind, you can easily break all your tasks in a day into this seconds. You can say you want to do this for 50 seconds, or you want to do this for 100 seconds in a day. And with this, it will tell you that we have a lot of time, or a lot of seconds in a day to actually achieve a lot. All right, so now we'll move to tips. So I've also included tips for effective time management. All right, firstly, you need to eliminate procrastination. That's the most dangerous thing. Procrastination can be, should you need to study at 2 a.m. on a Friday and you say to yourself, oh God, I'm tired, I do not want to, I want to sleep more. So once you keep doing that, you keep having your work keep piling up, and you might not be able to meet up with other time, and hence this can lead to anxiety when exam time is closer, or should you need to write time, because you've actually wasted some of your time. So you do not procrastinate. As a student, if you need to do something, rather do it now. Don't say no, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it on Wednesday, because that leads to a lot of anxiety during exam period, and which can actually affect your mark. So always make sure that you eliminate procrastination. And secondly, you need to set realistic goals and targets. You need to set goals that you know they are achievable, something that you know that you can always achieve. Don't set difficult goals for yourself. If you feel that you want to work and get 50% or 80%, work towards that. Don't set something that you know that you cannot achieve at the end of the day. All right. And thirdly, network wisely. We can see this as the kind of friends that you study the same model or the same course together. If you keep friends, if you're studying business management and you're associating with friends that are into journalism, and then there's no benefits that you can really gain from such friend. So it's better to have friends that you know that you share the same passion, or you share the same goal, or you have the same drive. So that is what that means. And like I've said earlier on, write it down. Everything you need to do, it's important that you put them on paper in order for you not to forget. And delegate task. You need to delegate task. There are things that if you feel that you do not have time to do, and you have people who are capable of assisting you, rather delegate those tasks to them so that they can assist you. So with that, you can have time to do or to accomplish important things on your side. And don't be afraid to say I am busy. When you're busy and someone asks you for help, let them know that you're busy with your assignment, or you're busy preparing for your exam, that you would love to help them, but right now you're busy and you're sorry you cannot help them. So don't be shy, and at the detriment of your study or at the detriment of your mark, and do what you're not supposed to do. And that also boils down to learning to say no. Sometimes we don't know how to say no to people because we do not want to hurt their feelings, but it's best to say no rather than doing something that will affect you at the end of the day, or that will have a negative effect on your study. All right, so that will be that. Okay, I've also shared here 5 time wasters to eliminate, which is the number one is procrastination. Procrastination, like I've also explained how that happen. Um, how to manage your time. I've explained that, and not asking for help, no clearly defined goals. All I've also explained to you, not taking action. This will be this is important. Once you have a clearly defined goal, the next thing to do is to start. So if you've drawn out a goal or what you need to do, make sure that no matter how difficult it looks, no matter how tired you are, just make sure that you start something, no matter how small, even if it's just 2 lines that you need to write. If you need to write your notes, for instance, make sure that you start with something, even if it's just taking out the paper, putting down your names, or putting out something short, even if it's just a paragraph. At least for the day you've started something. So make sure that you take action in that. And also taking decisions. This is also crucial in time management. An example would be when you when you need to attend a social event, or you need to study and you need to make a decision what to do. If you manage your time very well, you can actually allocate specific time. You can say to yourself, okay, I'm going to attend this event on Friday and I'm going to study on Saturday. So with a good time management skill, you can actually balance your social life and your study time, and there will not be a conflict between both. So that is what taking action means. So you can have a balanced life. Self-care. This is extremely important. You need to look after yourself. As a student, you shouldn't be overwhelmed with a lot of work and a lot of studying. Make sure that you take good care of yourself by getting enough sleep. Also make sure that you're having the right diet, you're eating the right food, because once you junk food, then that can actually make you sick. So make sure that you are eating the right thing, and exercise. Exercise is very, very important. Should you not have money to go to gym, you can wake up 5 or 6 a.m. and maybe jog for 30 minutes or take a walk for 15 minutes, and you should be fine. So those are the things that also affect you physically and mentally as well, in a positive way. Should you exercise and maintain a healthy diet and quality sleep as well. So all those things are what you should put into consideration, that are also important as a student. Okay, so now we'll move to time management benefits. The benefit of time management. So the benefit of time management, firstly, would be control. When you have a good time management skill, you would have control. You have control over your academic, because you could easily see or predict when, let's say, when you finish your assignment, or when you will complete writing this note, or when you need to accomplish certain tasks. So you are in control of your work, you are in control of your task. Also, it makes you to be productive. Managing your time assists you to maximize your productive hours, and in no time, and you would accomplish your task in no time. It also builds your confidence as well. When you manage your time in an efficient way, you are confident that, you know what, I've done all I need to do. I've studied at the right time, all my notes, everything is all set. And when exam time comes, you are confident that you will excel in your exams. It also makes you to be efficient, because you do not waste time, because you have a balance. You have managed your time. You've scheduled the time that you meant to that is meant for social activities, and times that are meant for your study as a student. So these are all the benefit of time management. And also, it gives you that satisfaction. There's a link between good time management and a student well-being, which means it has a great effect on your life satisfaction, because now you do not procrastinate. So you are satisfied and you are happy, because you know that you've done all that is required from you. Everything is, you're on top of all your work, so it gives you that inner satisfaction. And you're also stress free. So once you work on your time and you manage your time in an efficient way, you would see that you would be stress free. You will there will no be there will You will not have any anxiety during exam or test period, so which would actually help you run things smoothly. So with that as well, it's also there's also fun time. Managing your time would also create more time for you to spend with your family, because you will have time that you have already dedicated for family and other recreational activities. Okay, and also, what I will also advise you as a Unista student, um, in conclusion, is is that time management is very, very important, and it's a useful skill that you need to work on in order to succeed in your academics, and even in every other area in your life. It's gives you a balance between your social and your social life and your study time. So there is a balance, and successful time management requires self-evaluation. And you do not want you cannot just say to yourself that, you know what, I don't feel like studying today. I don't feel like attending classes today. No, you have to be disciplined. You have to attend classes at the right time. You need to work whatever time that you've set on your timetable or your study planner. You need to make sure that you are going accordingly. So, which actually requires discipline. I've also included here references and resources. The CCD website as well is here. There are a lot of time management um, presentation there that you can see, which are very, very, very helpful. And also how to create a study planner. So if you want to create a good study planner, there are links there that could assist you in doing that as well. All right, so thank you. That will be all from me today.
Thank you so much, Ololade. That was an excellent presentation. I just included some of the resources that's at the end of the presentation. I just included the link in the chat function. Also, for those students that are registered as full-time students and doing 10 modules this year, I've also included the study roster specifically for those doing 10 modules. You can find in the chat function as well. There was a lot of chats while you were presenting, and I think the one concern for me is that students were asking about classes. And so I thought, okay, maybe we need to hit the pause button and just take a step back. And I think we work on the assumption that everyone knows Unisa is an open and distance learning institution, and we don't need to speak about what that means, but perhaps we should speak about what that means. So being an open and distance learning institution means that you're largely self-studying. Your application is done online, your registration is done online. We don't offer classes for every module. We offer classes for the at-risk modules. Those are the modules with a high failure rate. So I've included the contact email for the tutorial center. So those of you who are finding certain module contents difficult and feel that you do need support, you can email the tutorial center at ctntat@unisa.ac.za to find out if they are offering additional support for your modules. But the assumption is that if you're at Unisa, you're studying, you're training to be a successful distance learner. So all of your study material is online. If you've paid your registration fees and your account is activated, your study material is online. You're able to download your study material and begin studying. So the purpose of today's conversation in terms of time management is that we assume you're at the active studying phase and you need to develop a study schedule, but you've already accessed your study material online. So being a distance learning student means you need to have good self-management skills in place. You need to be able to organize yourself, plan your studies, schedule your studies. And Ololade today, with today's topic, is sharing with you resources on how to develop a study schedule. I use a very basic formula if you're wanting to check if you're on track with your coursework for the semester of the year. You look at the number of weeks you have until exams. So for those doing semester modules, semester 1, we've got 3 weeks left for March. So April, May, 4, 8, 9. We've got about 11 weeks before exams. So if you look at your course content online, your module should be broken down into a number of topics or units. Across each module, you'll have a different number of topics or units. What you need to do is add that total number of topics or units across all of your modules and divide it by 11 weeks, because you have 11 weeks until exams. That will give you a good indication of the amount of coursework you'll need to cover each week. If you divide that further by the number of days you study, that will give you a good indication of how much coursework you need to cover per day in each study session. So thank you very much, Ololade, for that. Very insightful. It stimulated quite a lot of conversation. I will respond to the other chats now. And the recording of today's events will be shared. Just ensure you sign the attendance register. And also ensure that you give us feedback. I'll just include the evaluation form again. Ololade spoke about a very important topic. She spoke about procrastination. And I've also included a resource because that can also generate a whole conversation of its own. I've included a resource on tips on dealing with procrastination. So I've just included it again in the chat function if anyone wants to download that, because I know a lot of students struggle with procrastination and not getting tasks done. And then you get 2 weeks before exams and you're trying to cram everything in order to pass your modules. So let me just go to the chat function, Ololade, and maybe just pose 1 or 2 questions to you. Okay, I will copy and paste the resources again. Okay, Ololade, here's a good question. How would you advise a student that finds certain modules too boring and uninteresting?
Okay, thank you for that. Firstly, what I would say is try to change your mindset. Should you find a model, any model that is boring, one thing you need to know is regardless of you seeing it as boring, you still need to pass. So what I would suggest is change your mindset. Check other resources. If you feel that you're not getting enough from your lecturer, then go on YouTube. There are a lot of lectures on YouTube. Try to make it interesting. Try to get someone who is perhaps your friends. If you have friends that are good with such model, go to them, spend time with them. I will give you an example quickly. When I was doing my BCom Law, I was doing statistics, and it was so difficult. It was so boring. I actually I was not interested. In fact, sometimes I think my first test I got about either 8% or 3%. It was that bad. So I had a friend who was very good. So what I would do is on Saturday, I will go over to a house. Then we do a braai together. We listen to music together. Then we'll work on each unit. We can work on each unit, let's say, for 30 minutes. Then we'll go back to it, doing our braai. Then we'll go back there. So because of that, every Saturday, I always look forward to going there because I know it's always a fun day and we need to work on statistics, and we'll be also, we have time to do our braai as well. So with that, I started having interest on the model, and I wrote 2 exams on the day. So I had to rewrite my statistics, and I wrote my I think HR on that day. And usually the first time I did the exam, I failed it. And the second time I would be writing the exam, I wrote it with another exam for 3 hours, and I did very well. And the lecturer was like, you know what, you should have passed the first time. It was just your mindset. So I think you need to change your mindset. Like I said, network wisely, get close to people who are very good at such model, and go on YouTube, seek other resources. And you do not have a choice. You need to pass. So you need to make it work for you. So that is what I would say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ololade. Let me just check. The other comments and chats were about accessing library cards, and I think that was the only interesting question that was left. Otherwise, everything was responded to. Thank you so much, Ololade. And with that, we're going to move on to the next topic. Keisha, you're welcome to take the floor.
Thank you so much. Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm just going to keep my camera on for an introduction. Thank you so much, Ololade. That was amazing. I can't stress enough the importance of what Ololade has been talking about. My name is Keisha. I am, during my studies, I worked as a math and science tutor while studying chemical engineering at Unisa's College of Science, Engineering and Technology. Now I work as a chemical engineering intern, so if you do hear any background noise, please excuse that. I am in the office today. I'm very excited to introduce my topic because studying STEM is hard enough without support or with support. And I'm really hoping to make a difference here today to at least one person. I'm going to share some personal methods that have worked for me, and I actually hope that you will share some of your experiences too. In fact, I'd like to treat this as more of a conversation. I'll put up an icon in the top right corner of the slide, and that's when I really want you to engage with me in the chat function. So I'll try to have a look at the chat function and respond to some of the engagement. I'll also ask some yes and no questions. So if you just respond yes with a thumbs up emoji and respond no with the laughing face emoji, and then if you just agree with something that I say, you can add a nice heart. All right, with that said, I'm going to kill my camera now. Okay, so just to give an overview of the topics that will be discussed in this presentation, first we will look at the overview of modules. We will talk about communicating for success. We'll look at the scope of your course content and explore the differences between exam modules versus continuous assessment modules. Then we'll also look at studying STEM through Unisa. We'll then look at a little bit of time management. I'm so happy that Olalari went into so much detail, so I'll skip through some of that. Then we'll look at stress management, and I'll share some additional resources. Firstly, it is important to understand how communication and course content must be managed when studying at Unisa. So I'm seeing a lot of questions in the chat function regarding misunderstandings and not completely understanding how Unisa communication works. Unisa communicates to you using the Unisa site. You need to check it daily. So this is when you go into My Unisa and access your modules, you will see your lecturers will be able to communicate with you, and this is something that you need to check daily. You need to communicate to Unisa through email. You need to do this at least weekly or as soon as something goes wrong. And the site is not always reliable, so you actually need to be checking both your site and your emails all the time, like 3 or 4 times a day. You will also need to access your course content. And your course content would be your study guide. Those are things that you will get from My Unisa. However, you might need other sources of content as well. So the library, Bookboon, PDF Drive are all examples of really awesome places where you can find extra course content, and the library is an extremely helpful tool. I'm referring to the online library at the Unisa site. So when there is a presentation on how to access the library and how to use it to its full capacity, this might become one of your most powerful tools. All right, so just an overview of the module, some of the recent changes. I'd actually like to get an idea of how many CSET students do we have present. Can I just see hands? Do we have any engineering students present? Do we have any science students present? Just to see if this is relevant. I'm seeing hands. All right. So all the modules are year modules except EUP 1501. Your year modules are called year modules. However, you still only have 6 months. As you'll see, the year modules do tend to start a little later in the year and they end a little earlier in the year. So that doesn't mean that you have 2 semesters with your semester modules. Right, and then there's 2 types of modules that you'll encounter as a CSET student. You'll have your exam modules and your continuous assessment modules. Just to go into a little bit of details and understanding how this works, your continuous assessment modules are all your engineering modules. You don't have any assignments. You do have 2 minor tests, 2 major tests, and 1 retest. The minor tests are kind of like assignments, but you're given a 24-hour window in which to complete it. So it is required that you actually study before the time and that you are prepared for it and treat it as a test. Then the major tests are proctored, so they are invigilated by a proctoring tool. In engineering, we use the IRIS proctoring tool. And cheating is definitely not advised, but more of this in the next section. The major tests generally cover 2 to 3 modules, depending on the specific modules, and it makes it a lot less stressful than exams. If you prepared well enough for the minor tests, followed up with your lecturer, or compared your answers to the memo, then you should be more than ready for the major test and you should score high. Please feel free to ask any questions in the comments section regarding how the continuous assessment modules work. And then I'll be happy to actually respond. All right, and then exam modules, those are the normal modules where it's non-engineering modules. So you'll generally have 2 to 3 assignments depending on the module. And the biggest difference between your exam modules and your continuous assessment modules is that your exam usually counts between 60 and 80% of your final mark, making it a lot more stressful, and your assignments are a lot larger, meaning that you get a lot more time. So just a little bit of a background on exactly how the assessments are planned out. All right. This is just an overview of the modules. I think now that we've discussed what the modules are like, let's talk about the next section. Let's talk about studying STEM through Unisa. All right, now I'd like to see some reactions. Has anyone here ever tried studying math using a mind map? Olelade, you mentioned something about stats. Okay, so obviously that's not a thing. Let's talk about this 3-step system that I've been using to master my solution-based modules. Step 1, create your workspace. This is important as it sets your routine, creates a safe space for you to focus, and it sets boundaries for family members who think you're studying from home, but you can't expect it to work if you're doing it in your PJs. So firstly, time is the first part of your workspace. Yes, and this is your most valuable resource, as Ololade has spoken about in quite a bit of detail. You need to use calendars, weekly and daily planners to slot in activities and to set goals. Ensure that you allow enough time per topic. In fact, my personal rule is to spend a full day per topic. Secondly, it's your physical workspace. So that could be your desk, your books. Make sure that you have a notebook that is dedicated to each module, stationery, planners, and so on. Your physical workspace can also include your computer or your laptop. This could be folders on your device, apps like OneNote, or even PowerPoint presentations. So this all forms part of your study space. Next is your content. And content could be anything between your study guide, your textbook, YouTube, solutions manuals, and so on. Things that I mentioned before where you have to get extra course content. So the time, space, and content all together make up your workspace. Step 2. Einstein said that if you can't explain it simply, then you don't understand it well enough. How often don't we blindly take notes by rewriting definitions and then realizing you don't even know what it means? My steps include actively reading through the topic in the study guide, actively read through the same topic in the prescribed textbook, make notes of keywords, definitions, concepts, even questions that you may have or inconsistencies that you may have picked up. Do further research on the topic, and like Ololade said, watch lectures on YouTube, and obviously make more notes. The main thing here is to never write down something that you don't understand. Write the notes in your own words in such a way that you're actually speaking to yourself so that you can easily revise your notes closer to the exam or major test. In fact, pretend that your notebook is a time machine, allowing you to send messages to your future self. How would you explain this work to your future self before an exam? The third step is to try examples until mastery. Now, I do realize that I'm not talking to a fully STEM audience right now, but have you ever studied math, science, or another application type subject? Please share your experiences in the chat function. What worked for you? You're looking at a picture of my workspace. It's about as neat and organized as it'll get. What do you notice about the whiteboard? This is what trying examples until mastery can actually look like. Chaotic, frustrating, it's often hours of failure and confusion, never ending, and sometimes it ends in tears. The main thing is to keep trying until you've mastered each topic. And you do this by trying worked examples from the study guide. Look at how they did it, mimic that until it makes sense, and then try to redo it without looking. Make notes of any mistakes, and then try to find your error. This is actually where the real magic happens. Check your prescribed textbook for similar problems to solve, and ensure that you have the solutions manual before you start, preferably. Mark your steps and make notes of what you did differently, especially if you have the same answer, and then, of course, discuss it with your lecturer. Either send a detailed email with screenshots or set up a meeting with your lecturer and discuss the differences. Or do what I did, and do both. I used to have a daily meeting with my math lecturer, ranging between 5 minutes to an hour at a time, and that really helped me stay on my toes, and she kept me accountable on the days that I wasn't in the meeting. The key point here is really to do a little bit every day, which brings me to our next section. Do you want to know a cool life hack about university studies? Can I see some thumbs? So you don't need to be exceptionally smart, just really good with time budgeting. What you're looking at right now is an image of my bedroom walls, because an A4 page was not going to cut it. And this is what separates those who pass from those who don't. And it will not be easy. You need to embrace the chaos, but more of this in the next section. Also, cheating is not advised as a time management strategy. It can be tempting when time is limited, but please do not use sites like Shig, study.com, ChatGPT, or other sites, because besides getting you into serious trouble and giving you the wrong answers, it will only destroy your confidence. You'll notice that it will become increasingly harder to find answers online from study help sites. And sometimes those answers will also be wrong. Don't get me wrong, when you are out of resources, definitely use anything to help you better understand your work. However, never rely on these sites to complete your assignments for you, and do not use this during exams. I cannot stress this enough. Apart from the fact that Iris software tracks your eyes, so it will catch you out during an exam, ChatGPT and other AI tools return extremely unreliable results, especially for calculations. Has anyone ever experienced that? Has anybody had experience with this? I've definitely experienced asking ChatGPT for certain calculations, and then it's returned very obvious wrong answers. All right, please add your comments in the chat section. Definitely make the most of your time during the semester to study, especially to build up your confidence, so you won't ever feel the need to use illegal aids. Finally, don't make the mistake thinking that lectures can be used to catch up. Let's just get something straight about Unisa studies. Lecturers do online meetings before major tests. This is not a lecture, and it is not a presentation. This is a Q&A session. And if you are not prepared, meaning you have no actual questions to ask, the session will be a total waste of your time. It is, however, a very good way to know who's in your class and create a network of friends to study with. And this is very useful for those moments when you're struggling and need to check your answers against someone else's. Ololade went into quite a lot of detail, and she did an amazing job with time management. So I am going to recommend that everybody go back and have a look at exactly what Ololade was discussing with time management, because those tips are exactly what will make you pass at the end of the day studying through Unisa. So I'm not going to go into too much detail with time management, but what I can just reiterate from what Ololade was saying is that you do semester planning, weekly planning, daily planning, and constantly reevaluate the way that you're spending your time. In a CSET, that's College of Science, Engineering and Technology, or STEM courses, that is your science courses or your math courses, you will find that a math module will require a little more time than, for example, a computers module, because maybe you are better at working with computer applications. And so it really is important to sit down in the beginning of your semester and do your semester planning, where you carefully plan how much time each module will require from you on a weekly basis and so on. And then finally, and very importantly, we're going to look at stress management. Remember that your mind is your greatest and most important asset during this time. You have to take care of yourself mentally. Here are some tools, tips, and hints that have helped me stay sane when I was not peacefully enjoying Thailand as in that video. Use the comment section. Please share which one stood out for you the most. Anticipate the chaos. There will not be much. There will not be much balance. Choose a study-free day where you focus specifically either on your family or on doing things that you enjoy. Ensure that study time is dedicated and focused, and that your break time is equally dedicated and focused. Be aware of the amount of activity that your mind can handle, and do not exceed this limit ever. This will cause burnout, which will result in all your hard work going to waste. Surround yourself with supportive people and always communicate with those around you. Check in weekly with all your lecturers and also feel comfortable with the rejection and the silent treatment, but remain persistent. Prioritize rest, peace, and a healthy mind. Use vitamins and various complexes just to help with focus and stabilizing your mood. I'd really like to know what other ideas are out there. What worked for you so far? And while I have a look at some of the comments in the chat section, here's some resources that you can access to make the most of your studies at Unisa. I just want to reiterate that the DCCD site contains so much useful information, and I can personally recommend that you schedule in a slot to work through the site from the start of the semester. It is extremely helpful, and there is so much that you can take from it. And with that, thank you so much for participating. You've definitely been a fun audience, and I truly hope that you can use these tips not just to survive, but to thrive as a CSET student at Unisa. I'd actually love to open up the conversation at this point for questions, comments, anything else. Thank you so much, everyone.
Keisha, one of the comments or the questions students are curious about is, while you're writing an online test, so I'm assuming it's an online exam, if you're writing down and working out something on a page, could iris proctoring flag that since your eyes are not on the screen?
So yes, iris proctoring does in fact flag that. However, when you have an entire module that is written, so just to start off with, in the College of Science, Engineering, and Technology, your exams are written. So all of it is all about doing your calculations on a page, and you have to then scan in your exam or your assessment, and you scan it in and you email it. So yes, the proctoring tool will flag it, it will pick it up, and that is also the reason why it takes a little longer to get feedback, because they actually have to go through the flagged videos. However, it doesn't only pick up your eye movement, it also picks up things like when somebody is being dishonest. Basically, your eyes do certain things, and this is really what iris is picking up. So if you are simply writing your exam and doing your calculations and using your calculator and those types of things, then you should be fine. It will still be flagged, but you should be fine.
Thanks, Keisha. I think that was one of the important questions that stood out. The others were all responded to. So for all of the students, I'm going to again just include the attendance register. Some are still asking, where do we find this? Postgraduate students, there were some questions about the postgrad orientation and specifically specific programs and topics designed for postgrad students. So the postgrad students have their own orientation scheduled for the 3rd of April at 12, and the link to join I included in the chat function. The information around time management is not specific to undergrads. It's for undergrads and postgrads. So it's a general, I think today's topics were very general topics about how to navigate Unisa successfully and what you need to put in place to be a successful distance learner. So it's not, today's topics were not specific to under or postgrad. I think any student can benefit from it. Specifically for master's students, your time management is really dependent on the memorandum of understanding, the MOU that you sign with your supervisor. So you and your supervisor need to come up with an agreement and a timeline in terms of when you will submit particular chapters and how many years you're thinking of spending to complete the qualification. So there's a whole different process unfolds for master's students. So the presentations will be shared, the recording will be shared. Okay. So I'm just going to include the attendance register again and evaluation form. Please give us your feedback in terms of what you found useful, but also give us your feedback in terms of what further topics you need support with, because that helps us align our schedule of events with and ensure that we suit your needs. We serve your needs, and that's why we're here. So attendance register and evaluation form I'm including again in at the end of the chat function for easy reference. Thank you so much, Keisha, for the wonderful presentation. Someone's saying that working and studying is hard. There's little time to rest, and I wonder how big of an impact this could have on students' academic career. So Keisha, maybe I think an important topic to touch on is maybe self-care and burnout. How do you manage that?
Yeah, definitely. So during my studies, I worked. It was luckily part-time, and I also have a family. I've got kids and so on. And this is really where the importance of actually structuring your self-care comes in. I ensured that I had a study-free day at least once a week. And on that study-free day, it wasn't about doing laundry. It wasn't about, doing errands. It wasn't about anything like that. It was really just about doing what I felt like doing and nothing else. And that kind of kept me sane. So you really do need to have a list of things that, you feel you can do in your free time. So with that said, it is extremely challenging, but it is definitely possible. The key is really to be very proactive in your studies. You know what your working hours are. And if you are just always proactive in your studies, you keep very close contact with your lecturers. Like I said, I was at a stage where I had a consistent meeting planned for my lecturer every single day. So even on days where it was just a check-in, just to see, just a 5-minute check-in, I was still actively doing this every single day. So yes, there's very little sleep, there's very little luxury, there's very little social time, and these are the types of sacrifices that we as corresponding students have to make, but it is 100% worth it at the end of the day.
Thanks, Keisha. I think I'm just going to reiterate the tutorial classes we offer is only for selected modules. So you'll email the tutorial center to find out what support is in place for the semester or the year. And remember, always communicate with the university from your My Life account, otherwise staff won't respond. Attending the tutorial classes don't count towards module weighting. It's not compulsory. You sign up for it. It's free on offer. You attend if you want to. If you don't, it's fine. So it doesn't have any impact on your studies. But if you're struggling with a module and you need support, then please just make it known that you need support. Otherwise, we don't know, and you end up suffering in silence. So being another comment is time management is really important. It really helped me. I think I will try to manage my time and spend more time on my studies since I'm a working mom, single parent. Thank you, guys. I think being a parent, whether you're single or not, is a difficult job, can be exhausting. And I think also the topic then of self-care is very important because burnout happens more often than not. So I think it's very important as a single parent to take time out for yourself as well. What I usually do is I would book myself either a foot treatment or a facial or a back massage once a month. And that is my me time. Because you're busy running around, you're working, and you're always seeing to everyone else's needs, and no one is taking care of you. So you need to schedule your me time because looking after yourself is priority. Without you and your physical health, there is nothing left. Someone is asking, how do you access your exam? Keisha, how do you access the exams?
Okay, so you access your exam through the My Exam site. So your My Exam link will be shared with you closer to the time. And I'm not sure if that works the same for all the colleges. I know that some schools have different exam sites, but that will be communicated with you closer to the time. Yeah, and your exams are online, if that wasn't clear.
Yeah, so from what I've heard from students, it is the same for all the modules. You will be notified via my Unisa. You must check your study guides, the my Unisa tutorial letters to check what is the nature of your exams. I think that was the one question. What is the nature? How do you know the nature of your exam, if it's continuous or if it's exam-based? So the study information that Unisa provides you with will indicate the nature of the assessment, whether it will be continuous assessment or whether it's exams, whether your assignments that you submit throughout the year count towards your final mark or not, and what is the weighting of those. So everything is online and provided to you on the My Unisa platform. Just check your module tabs for each module because your assessments will be different for each module. I see some, let me just double check. Hands that are raised, and I'm wondering if they're historical hands or should I unmute them? Do people want to speak to you and don't feel like typing? So I'm just going to unmute certain mics. Dylan, if you want to pose a question or make a comment, you're welcome to go ahead. Let me just see whose mic I unmuted.
Chantal, can I just, there's a question there from Caitlin, who's asking about semester 1 modules. Is this only for first half of the year and the S2 module for the second half of the year? I just want to be clear on what to focus on. Also, this is my first year at Unisa and doing this distance learning. So yeah, S1 modules, I'm wondering which course is this? Yeah, Caitlin, can you tell me what course you're studying? All right, thanks, education. Yeah, I'm not sure. Chantal, do you perhaps know if the S1 or semester 1 and S2 semester 2 modules?
Yeah, your year modules will be indicated with a Y.
Oh,
so
yes, that's right. Yeah.
S1 is semester 1, S2 is semester 2, Y for year modules.
Thanks. Yeah, Caitlin, just to reiterate, the different types of modules or types of courses will have specific types of modules. So as part of my presentation, I spoke about continuous assessment modules and exam modules. And then I also mentioned that they're all year modules. This is limited to the engineering side. So if you're not part of the engineering stream, then you don't have to worry about it. It's something that changed last year. It was quite a swift change where they went from semester modules to changing all the semester modules to year modules. But like Chantal has said, there'll be a Y in front of the module name. So you'll see Y1, and that will be a year module, and your S1 will in fact be your semester module.
And No,
Sorry.
finish.
Leanne is asking how long is a semester at Unisa. The semester is generally the same as all other university semesters, so it's about 4 months worth of actual, semester time.
I just wanted to make everyone aware. I'm just putting it in the chat function again. The resources on how to plan for a successful online exam. So all the questions related to the proctoring tool, the iris, and where to access exams, how to access my exams, they are all on this link. There's a number of steps. Step 1, check your exam timetable, and there's a link to check it. Step 2, how to access your exam paper, and the resources are there. Step 3 is preparing and how to use the invigilator and proctoring tools, how to assist students with special needs. So there's a whole list of resources for navigating us for a successful exam. So when you click on the link, you'll be able to just check which topic you're wanting to access and find out about. If study material is uploaded, you wouldn't usually receive a notification. The only notification you receive is if you want your study material in hard copy, and then they send you a SMS to tell you to come and collect. But otherwise, you don't get a notification. If you've paid your study fees, usually it takes about 48 hours for the fees to be allocated. If not, and it's taking much longer than that, then you'll need to contact the student advisors to activate your account, because your account needs to be activated before you can access your material online. But you don't get notified when it's loaded. You'll need to check every week. The semester has already started, so the student is saying, I'm still waiting. When does the semester start? It is March, so the semester has definitely started. If I were you, the first step, I'm going to send you the contact details for the advisors for them to check that your money has been allocated to your account, because you should already be able to access your materials. So let me explain the semesters. January is usually the month of registration for semester 1. Okay. I always recommend students register as early as possible, because then you have no issues about late submissions of assignments and trying to catch up with the rest of the semester. This year, Unisa has allowed students to register up until today, which is a bit crazy because we're already on the 8th of March. And assignments were due. Some students have already missed assignments. So if you don't have access to your study material, please contact the advisors. As in now, I'm putting the email address for the advisors. Student is asking, how do I know what books I need? Prescribed books. So prescribed books, there's also a function on my Unisa that lets you check your prescribed books. Just give me a second for me to copy and paste the link. You can just type in the code of the modules and you can check which books you need. Thank you, Unisa team, for putting this together. Much needed and appreciated. Such a pleasure. I'd like to thank our 2 presenters here today. They are volunteers, and it's the first time they've engaged actively with students online. So we'd like to thank the presenters, Keisha and Ololade, but also to our students. We've got quite a big crowd today. So I'd like to, we truly appreciate your participation and attendance.
Chantal, I'd like to respond to a question here by A. Summer. What happens if you need to be grouped for a certain module and you aren't, and the assignment due date has passed? I sent an email and messaged lecturers. However, I did not receive a response. Okay, so this is very normal. The first thing you need to do is understand that this is pretty much how it's going to be and find the best possible ways to work with it. If you've sent your lecturer an email, the best thing you can do is keep on sending emails as far as possible. And ultimately that is all you can do. If you had to be grouped for certain modules, so I know that large modules have these groupings, and the assignment due date has passed. I'm not sure what course it is again. So I don't know, I'm not sure if different colleges have different methods of uploading assignments. But
so students can also direct their emails to the tutorial center, because they deal with the facilitators who do the grouping. So I've also just included their email address. They can send an email to ctntat@unisa from their MyLife account. We haven't received communication. Some modules, one of the students is asking about whether the university is making any concessions regarding the due dates of assessments because of registration that's finalized late. So some of the modules, the lecturers have already renegotiated deadline dates, others not. Our registration is still open. So that's one of the biggest, if the registration is still open, it impacts on when the lecturer is going to communicate with the student. So at the moment, we're in that unknown zone where we're waiting for lecturers to take action, but the registration is still open. And some lecturers are a bit slower than others. And then the last person to respond will be the university. And then you've got to keep checking my Unisa announcements for the formal communication from the university. That is sometimes not even communicated to the staff. So as a staff member, I also continually check on a daily basis my Unisa announcements. So we're in that chaotic time where things are uncertain and there's nothing that's been formally communicated from the university. So individual lecturers would have contacted the students to negotiate alternative due dates. But if you have any issues and you've already missed an assignment, email your lecturer and just make a note that it's as per the late registration, finalization of registration, because it is the university that is allowing the students to register late. So one student is saying, I'm a returning student from 2019. I have 5 modules that were credited in the first year. So I'm currently doing the other 5 to complete first level. So in the second semester, can I register for the second level modules? Yes, you can. It doesn't matter what semester you're in. You can register for modules. Your curriculum, you need to follow. Your curriculum, you always check. Third year modules will have certain second year pre or co-requisites, and second year modules will have certain pre and co-requisites. So yes, you can register for second level modules. You must also check that you've passed and meet the prerequisite. So prerequisite means you must have passed module A in order to register for module B. So that is the only planning that needs to be done when you're planning your module selection. Cape Town tutorial classes have started. They've already started. But remember, tutorial classes is only for selected modules, not for everything. So you're going to email the tutorial center. I'm going to put the email address again in the chat function to find out if they're offering support for the modules you are registered. I only got access to my life email on Tuesday. How can I catch up on missed tutorials and practicals from mid-Feb? Practicals. Which course is this for? Practicals would only be for education, diploma in electrical engineering. So a practical module would usually take place later in the year. Keisha?
Okay, so let me just explain it. If you're on your first, yes, you're on your first year. So because the modules are all year modules, it used to be semester modules, but now because they're all year modules, you will get a notification anything between a month before the time, maybe, or sometimes 2 weeks before the time. So just be prepared. You'll get a notification, you'll get your dates for your practicals, then you need to actually physically go into the Unisa campus in the engineering campus is in Florida. So yeah, that's the Florida campus. So you physically have to go in, but the issue is that the lecturer and yeah, they need to first decide when it's going to be, and then they need to make sure that it's aligned. They need to make sure that they have demonstrators and so on. So in terms of the practical, just make sure that you're prepared. So when they tell you that you need to come, that you can kind of just drop everything and that you can go, depending on where you are, of course. I'm in Cape Town, so we're all in Cape Town.
Not all of us. Some are located in George, Sunnyside, since
Okay.
we've got students across. Yeah.
Okay, so what I usually do is just make sure they were lab practical schedule in early Feb. The March tutorials are all booked out. This is the same person. I'm in Cape Town as well. Okay. Yeah, so usually if there's lab practicals Feb, my guess is that that's like from last year, I could only imagine. But generally the practicals are like Chantal says, they have to wait for everybody to first have registered, and the practicals are usually take very long before the practicals. So the best thing that you can do is contact the lecturer. There should be a name of the lecturer in your tutorial letter. So contact the lecturer and just let the lecturer know, listen, I'm registered for the module. Please let me know as soon as you know what the dates are. And then every week, just check in with the lecturer and find out, hey, did you manage to get those dates, and so on. And that's usually what I did. And at this point, I have my lecturer WhatsApping me, telling me, listen, this is when the practicals are going to be. Are you going to be there this year? So that's kind of where you want to be with your lecturers, best friends.
Okay. I think we've covered all the questions. There's questions about study material. How do you know when they'll deliver? So study material inquiries, I'm going to put the email address in the chat function for the Cape Town study material person, and they can check on the system for you. Okay, so someone says tomorrow they have a human science event at Cape Town Barrow campus. Is it needed to get my student card, or can I get my student card? So your student cards you make in person at the campus. It's a hard copy plastic card. They will first need to check if you paid for it, if it was included in your registration fee. Otherwise, if not, it's 80 Rand for a student card. You can pay for it on campus. Just make sure you have a bank card. You'll make the payment at the computer lab. So usually you wouldn't need your student card to attend an event, because an event you'll just be ushered into a venue. So you don't need a card, but if you want to make your card, you can do that as well. Someone asked, when will these 2 exams take place? So for semester 1 modules, exams are usually May, June, because July is then you register again for the second semester. So May, June is exams for semester 1. You register for semester 2 in July, and then you write those exams in October, November. Your year modules, you can only register for at the beginning of the year. You register beginning of the year, you write those exams in October, November. So throughout the year, you will submit assessments, online assignments, and they will monitor your activity, and then you write the exam at the end of the year. How do you access Turnitin? So check the resources that I sent on, I'm going to scroll up again and find it and then just copy and paste it. The Turnitin resources is there. Turnitin I saw as part of, okay, I'm going to find it and then I'm going to copy and paste it again. Let's just check if there's any other questions besides Turnitin. It looks like that is it. I'm going to just find the Turnitin resources and copy and paste it again. But otherwise with that, I think we're going to close the event, the program for today. I'd like to thank you all our students for attending and our presenters for the wonderful presentations and lively engagement and interaction. If you wish to book an individual session with a student counselor myself, you can email me. I'm going to put my email address in the chat function. Make sure you sign the attendance register, and I will email everyone a copy of today's recordings, and give us feedback. Make sure you complete the evaluation form. Tell us about what are the topics you want us to present on. The prescribed books, just check the link for prescribed books I've included as well. I'll just paste it again. And that is it. Thank you so much for an interactive session. You will receive SMSs from us regarding the workshops for the rest of the semester. So we look forward to speaking to you again in future. And with that, I close the program for today.